You're listening to the Longbox podcast. I'm Tyler Olson.
I'm Matthew Murphy.
And this is the Batman The Dark Knight Strikes Again Shortbox special. Hi everyone, welcome to my ulcer.
Yeah, whoa. Hello. Hi, hello.
It's a great thing to have gastritis when you do a podcast. That's totally great because this button that I can turn off my mic when I need to cough is just going to be used for gross burps.
I mean, if it makes you feel better,
No, I don't think words can make this feel better.
I was gonna do a reveal for the Fantastic Four one, but I'll dump it here to make you feel better.
Sure. Is it relevant to this book or Fantastic Four?
No,
Neither.
it's relevant to my struggles versus your struggles in ulcer.
Okay.
So I've gotten very bored lately. I've been trying not to buy more books, but I've been subscribing to a lot of porn sites.
Oh boy! All right.
And I bought myself
an external hard drive.
an external hard drive.
That's what was plugged into your
Now,
computer.
let me tell you, I now have 2 terabytes worth of Pinot. I need to go out of my house. I think this is rock bottom.
I think, I would say it's up there. It's up there. You and I are in the winter slums right now.
It's a dark place.
The slums of... Is it winter yet?
I don't
I think it's officially
so.
winter. Wasn't the solstice where the Clinton sacrifice kids happening?
I guess.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Welcome to a Shortbox special.
Yeah.
How was your week, Matt?
I got caught in another squall today.
Squall!
So that pretty much represents my week.
It's Waka Flocka Flame's favorite weather phenomenon.
I hate squalls. I don't know why it happens on Wednesdays in the afternoon in the exact same spot on the highway.
What is your opinion on Squall from Final Fantasy?
Squall is awesome.
Yeah, okay.
I love the Gunblade.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Big Gunblade guy.
Cooler than Cloud.
I agree. I agree.
I think Cloud's a fucking dork.
Cloud's hair doesn't move when he moves. It doesn't make sense.
Sephiroth, also dweeb.
Sephiroth, I had that weird moment when I was younger where it was like, I think it was Sephiroth, Gerard Way, and Zac Efron, where I had that moment where I was like, am I gay?
Sephiroth. That's the sound of Matt with the unlimited nut in high school.
I only played One Winged Angel when I beat my meat.
Hey, what are you, Kenny Omega? He does that, doesn't he?
He does.
He 100% does. Welcome to Comic Books, guys. This is another week where we're not doing a weekly show, mostly because we had to bank these in advance. We are recording this show and the one you will get next week, which is going to be a very interesting show.
I am not looking forward to it.
So next week, if you guys have time to watch it on Disney Plus, watch Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, and in advance, we apologize.
Please buy alcohol. Please take a
yeah.
drink, smoke, do whatever drug you need. You need something for this movie.
You need assistance with this movie.
It took a lot. And let me tell you, I made a lot of use out of my Tushy account to get through that movie.
But for this week, we didn't watch a movie.
No.
We read a book.
A comic book.
So we read a sequel to probably one of the most well-known, most important pieces of Batman comic book history, or even comic book history in general, I would say. The Dark Knight Returns is possibly one of the most important books to ever come out.
I agree with that.
I don't think it's for everyone's taste.
Have you read it since you first read it?
I only first read it like a year or two ago.
So
At least fully.
Dark Knight Returns is right there with Watchmen, where I've tried to reread it since the first time I've read it, and I just can't bring myself to finish it.
It's funny. I can reread Watchmen anytime, honestly. And I can just read an issue of Watchmen and be like, yeah, that's good. That's
I can't.
tasty stuff for me. That's one of my evergreen books. As much as a fucking nerd that makes me sound, it's just like so cliche. Oh yeah, Watchmen's the best book of all time. The Saga's in my top 10 books.
You know what I feel? You know what's mine? And you're gonna make fun of me, and listeners are. It's Naruto. I can reread Naruto.
I do not blame you.
Time.
I don't blame you.
It's so
You-
good.
You forget, and people don't really know this, but I used to read Naruto constantly. I read all of Shippuden on a weekly basis up until Jiraiya died, and I got depressed and stopped reading.
I respect that.
Never finished the Pain arc. Sorry.
The Pain arc was rough.
Yeah. But Dark Knight Strikes Again by a little-known fedora-wearing creator named Frank.
This is
Frank Miller.
pre-Fedora.
Is it though?
No, he started wearing, because I read an article about this. So he started.
Was it a Vice article?
No, it was. I think it was Washington Post.
What?
But he started wearing the fedora after the Sin City movie because he was hanging out with Robert Rodriguez, who always wore the fedoras. He copped the man's fashion sense.
Here's the thing, though. Wearing the fedora, I don't think is necessarily a physical thing as much as a mindset.
It's definitely.
Even before he wore the fedora, my guy was wearing the fedora.
Yeah.
And especially while reading this book, my history of Frank Miller is not the deepest or broadest knowledge.
That's changed since we started doing this.
It's only changed because of you, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like I read Daredevil Born Again for the first time this year. Technically last year at this point. I've read Dark Knight Returns relatively recently. I could not get into DK3, and I haven't read Golden Child yet.
Golden Child, I wanted to ask you because I read it, and it's something.
You'll get my thoughts on it because it's on my list of stuff I'm going to read on vacation. So
Okay.
it's just a big book, and when I'm reading weekly, it's hard to get to those Black Label books sometimes because it kind of throws off the
Can I tell you?
flow for me.
It's not a big book because the dialogue is unreadable.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's awful.
So similar to this book then. so after Dark Knight Returns, everyone can say that Dark Knight Returns is an important book.
His most important book, I'd also say.
Debatable, I think.
I guess.
I think Sin City and
300.
300 and even Born Again are up there as well. But this book, Dark Knight Strikes Again, came out in, what was it, 2002, I believe?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, whereas Dark Knight Returns came out in what?
Dark Knight Returns came out 86.
86. Yeah. So it's been a while between the release of these two books, and boy, to say that this is like a weird thing to say for me. While reading this, it felt like a very personal experience. Does that make sense? It felt more visceral than Dark Knight Returns was.
It was very strange because it felt like someone who felt their age for the first time, and that's the first time I saw that in his work.
So what Liefeld is going through right now.
100% what Liefeld's going through.
I mean that literally. It's interesting because the art is it's not Dark Knight Returns. It's not Sin City. It's changed. With this book.
Changed, and I think this is going to be awful to say. What's that book we never talk about, and no one likes to talk about it? It was supposed to be DK3 with the Muslims.
Holy Terror?
Holy Terror was supposed to be DK3.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was originally pitched. It was a Batman book.
I know that, but I didn't know. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
DK3. Yeah.
But that's more akin to the Sin City stuff.
Sure.
This is very cartoony. It has a very political cartoon to it.
In more ways, like even Ralph D. Newman shows up in this. Like it's literally in the book. This book was.
The Dixie Chicks show up as the Super Chicks.
Oh shit! I did not.
I just realized that reading it for the second time.
That's such a early 2000s reference.
Yes.
Remember when they were like important? Maybe not even important, but they were in the
controversial.
Yeah, and then people were like steamrolling over their CDs in the South. Oh boy. So I don't want to say I dislike this book.
It's an experience, and that's why I was curious because
100%.
you're reading it for the first time, whereas I'm reading it for the second time.
Yeah, it's 100% an experience. I almost felt a little guilty reading this book, in so much that I feel like this is such a visceral reaction to what Frank Miller was feeling at the time, especially because I know 9/11 affected him very deeply.
The Metropolis scene in issue 3,
Yeah.
where Metropolis has destroyed everyone of the Superman family is dead.
Yeah.
You could that was your JR Spider-Man 9/11 scene in DC.
I mean, maybe for this book, I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe not in general. Remember when Dr. Doom was crying?
It didn't make any sense. I was listening to a podcast the other day where a famous Marvel creator was like, "That's my favorite issue of all time. It was so powerful." And I was
The
like,
issu's good,
I was
but
like-
there are character interactions there that don't make any sense.
I was like, how, why?
we should do that for 9/11 this year.
We're
reviewing the black issue.
Look, it always comes back.
Yep. No, so geez, we just turned Frank Miller's mental and personal crisis with 9/11 into a joke. Whoops. No, so it is big. He was writing this when 9/11 happened, is what I remember you
Yes,
telling me
he
now.
was living a few blocks away. I
Oh, wow,
believe.
okay.
Yeah, he was living in an apartment building in Manhattan.
Shit, yeah, that could really.
He
really
grew
fuck
up in
people
Manhattan.
Yeah, and then not only is that happening, but I think the immediate deployment of the war on terror and that really affected him. I mean, Holy Terror, right away, it is a direct response to that. But we see a little bit of that here. This whole book is a rebuke of the established status quo. And Batman is not Batman in this book. No. This is the least Bruce Wayne iteration of Batman. It's I even feel like it's so dissimilar from Batman in Dark Knight Returns. Like it feels like a different character.
It does, and that's why, like, the second time around, I appreciated the coloring so much, because the original version, it felt like someone vomited on the page. It felt like a kaleidoscope of digital coloring that I've never seen before, and I didn't like it. But in this time, my reading of it...
Wait, was this recolored?
No, this is the original coloring.
Okay, so you read it when it was recolored?
No, I read it... First time I read it, I didn't like the coloring.
So you weren't a Lynn Farley fan at the time?
No, Lynn Varley's usually a painter.
Okay.
Like, if you look at 300, it's nothing like this. Yeah. This was digitally colored.
You can tell it's very early digital color too. There. I think it's that double page spread with Black Canary and Stargirl, or Star Chicks.
Yeah.
Where it looks like you're on MS Paint and you turned on the gradient option and you did the fill bucket.
Well, you have that. I wanted to bring it up, and that's the reason I downloaded it and made the background of my phone. The Daily Planet magazine with the off-center title. Look at that.
That is an off-center title.
It's off-center.
That's what you're into. It wasn't the booty cheeks on there?
It wasn't the cheeks. Even how far will it go is off-center.
You really are in the slums of winter.
Yeah, it's bad. But no, like...
But that just feels like early digital comics. At least in the mainstream. Like, people didn't know how to use a centering tool. Maybe it didn't exist. I don't know.
It's so strange.
Yeah, it is. But maybe we should talk about the super chicks in this. I mean, I think we'll talk about the general story and the plot if we even can.
So no, this time around I noticed it. I noticed a semblance of a plot because it's barely a plot. It feels like a confessional in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Because all around you have the super chicks. They're dressed as superheroes. They're erotic dancers, singers. You have
which feels like not to interrupt, but that feels like a direct response to the dawn of internet pornography, and the accessibility that the general public has to it.
And it's a distraction.
Yeah.
And then all the people are only talking about the distractions. The government's lying to... I hate to say this. I put this book down and I was like, the message of this book is jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
Well, I, honestly, reading this book, especially in the week that I read it in, was very strange. Because it's like, oh shit, nothing has changed here.
No.
The president is a literal hologram controlled by Lex Luthor and Brainiac. But he's not like picking a side in this either.
He's just angry.
Yeah.
He's angry at the people. He's angry at the people profiting off of it. He's angry at the government.
He's angry at being horny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird, and there's that weird message throughout the book too, where he's like, the youth will take over, the youth are the future, and then he immediately, what's that group that he, around this time with
It's a comic book or
they wore the V for Vendetta masks.
Anon?
No, the protests, they were like the 1% versus
Occupy Wall Street.
Occupy Wall
Yeah,
Street.
this is much later on, though.
Much later on, but like he was telling the young people to like go forward and take down the world, but a few years later he's like, you people know nothing.
Oh yeah, this Frank Miller is much more visceral than the current one, where he's just super boomer at this point.
It's like everything is it's weirdly, it's so reactive.
Yeah, man, I feel like a lot of his work is.
Yeah, that it's hard to get a grasp on it. Batman the main thing is, everyone's distracted. The only people who aren't distracted are Batman and Frank Miller.
And I feel like in this book, Batman is Frank Miller's Mary Sue. It's an old man. He looks nothing like Bruce. He's bald. He's just old. He looks nothing like even what he looked like in Dark Knight Returns. But he's the one even showing like the superheroes are doing nothing. They've turned their eye on this world. The world's overrun by capitalists and evil people, and Batman's the only one who could gather the forces of the youth to take control back, really. And like through this, Batman is killing people. He's letting people get killed. Like this isn't Batman. This is Frank Miller under the cowl.
Which is so strange when you see who the eventual main villain of this book is, because it's not the president, it's not Lex Luthor, it's not Brainiac, it's Dick Grayson, it's the Joker.
He's not even the main villain. I found that part to be very weird. It is so out of place, I feel.
The orphanage stuff, because I didn't know where that came from. They're the people that create, like, genetically mutated. Nothing's ever explained.
There's nothing explained in this book.
I went to go look into it because I was confused as well, and apparently they were supposed to be explained in All-Star Batman and Robin.
Of course.
But All-Star Batman and Robin is sort of the same Batman.
I've never read it, so I can't speak to that.
It's very strange.
One of the things as I was reading this, I had to backtrack a lot in this book. But like even when Metropolis explodes, I did not know it exploded.
No.
You can't tell what's going on. You have these weird digital effects that are happening that deal with explosions. Matt, you described them as hentai blurs.
Nor hentai pixels.
It's just called a blur, Matt. It's not used exclusively in hentai.
I meant my lowest point. It's a hentai.
But they're like, I had to, when Metropolis explodes, you don't see it explode, I don't think, or you see the it's like the way the panel layout works. I found the paneling to be confusing because a lot of important scenes happen in smaller panels while less important scenes happen in the bigger panels on the same page.
There's no action in this book, and that's weird to say because there's no real backgrounds.
No,
everything. The book is fluid. It is so fluid, and everything just moves, and it doesn't care if you pay attention. Like when Brainiac turned into a frog beast and he starts slamming on the ground like Donkey Kong and destroying Metropolis.
He's using his down B.
Couldn't tell you how he was doing that.
Either.
It's literally, it's just you're flipping through. All right, I guess that's what he's doing.
The way I looked at this whole book was like an abstract painting. It's up close as I'm reading it. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know who's who. I don't know where's where. But as I finished it and I looked at it as a piece of work, I'm like, I get the general feel. I think I understand what was being like, what the message was really. But at its on the macro level, it's incoherent. I think, and I think the incoherency of it was the charm for me, if there is charm in this, because it's just literally Frank Miller just bleeding on the page in story and art, really.
There's one page.
I'm strangely praising this book in some way.
Yeah, there's one page where it's literally just two figures at the very bottom of the right-hand corner, and the rest of the page is just color. It's just green and pink and yellows. It's like an explosion of color.
The Green Lantern stuff, or
everything is exploding in your face, and I think that, again, I'm sorry to say, it's circling back to 9/11. I think that's really the whole point. In a way, like everything is blowing up in your face. You're not.
It's such a crude description, but I get it. Yeah.
Everything's going on in your face, and you're kind of like, you have to just go through it, but you're constantly revisiting it as well to see what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's kind of torturous in a way, and I don't mean that like it's like he's forcing you to go back and study it and re-examine it.
Maybe. I think
It's a weird relationship with the reader, I'd say.
Oh, 100%. It's almost like the reader, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
in this. That's where the incoherency is for me. It's almost like something that isn't meant to be read. Almost like a journal in a way, but instead we're doing a blockbuster DC book.
Which is so strange because, like, if you look at it, the pornographic
Sure.
imagery, like,
Go back to Sin City. The guy has a strange relationship with women, and his relationship with them.
I don't know if this is true, but I think this might be his last. This came out after Sin City, I believe. Sin City was 98. Let me just double
You'd have to
check
check
that.
that for me. I don't know.
I think this might be his last work with Lynn Farley.
Oh, really? Well, speaking of the role of women in this, though, that this is does not show women very well at all.
No, not even Carrie Kelly.
They're used as sex symbols. Even the main heroine in this, who is 16, is a sex symbol. There's constantly ass shots of her.
My little girl.
Yeah, there's like some weird like DDLG thing going on right there. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but when it's a literal glow girl, there's a problem with it.
I thought there was a lot of like, it was very uncomfortable the way they spoke with her because
Yeah.
like Dick Grayson's like, you love her like a daughter, but that's not how I took the way Batman spoke to her at all.
No, not at all.
It was very creepy.
There's the way Batman just talks about Carrie Kelly, because Carrie Kelly doesn't really get that much dialogue. A lot of it is her doing things and Batman admiring her. And that's where it's a little bit creepy and voyeuristic, where he's just admiring her every movement and the way how she's like a better version of him, which is almost egocentric in its voyeurism.
He's so obsessed with his own vision for how everything else should be. He doesn't listen to Superman. He doesn't listen to the Flash. This is my war. This is my war. Something he repeats over and over again. And it's no
war.
It's
very interesting choice. Yeah,
very interesting choice because the war on crime, right?
or even the war on terror at that point.
It's kind of sick.
This 2002. The country is on the brink of a war that is still happening. It's in 2020. So.
Okay, yeah, no, 300 came out in 1998. I believe this was the last work they produced together.
Interesting.
And this was the meltdown because after this, it's public knowledge out there. I think he became like an alcoholic, and
his health declined.
Yeah, his health declined.
Yeah. There is a kind of a domino effect after that. And I think Holy Terror didn't do well at the time. It was a laughing stock. I would describe
the Spirit film. Same.
Oh boy, yeah.
Sin City 2.
When did Sin City 1 come out as a film?
I think 2005.
Okay.
Because I remember Jasanti was trying to get me to watch it when
and I think
we were
that
in high
was
school.
Probably the high point for him.
Yeah.
That was like the climax leading into the
fall.
The fall, yeah. The designs in this. The design of this book is strange. Both the costume designs are interesting, but also the page layouts, the use of, it almost says "fuck you" to the normal use of paneling and storytelling. Like the page turns in this make no sense from a storytelling standpoint.
No, but here's the weird thing. Unlike something, I think I tried to read Black Cat #3 the other day or whatever, where they're in Doctor Strange's thing with the stairs.
How you liking that, by the way?
It's real good.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it is good.
But like, I couldn't understand what was happening in that
Fair.
page. This panel direction I had no problem with.
Oh no, I have no problem with the direction of it, but in terms of layout, if you read back, like Dark Knight Returns, that is calculated.
Yeah.
In what it's trying to do. Like the news scenes are in a certain panel that is understandable. With this book, even though I can understand the flow of panels and dialogue boxes and everything, it is all over the place. It's almost like you just took a puzzle and you just put the pieces next to each other without really forming the whole piece. Like you're missing pieces here and there, which I think is a very interesting turn for the book. But I could also like imagine reading Dark Knight Return and then getting excited for this, as it comes out, and then it's this.
Do you want to know what I found extremely fascinating? One of the we've talked about it for years now, but Man of Steel. The scene I hate the most is Metropolis is just destroyed. People's ashes are flying around, and Lois Lane and Superman kiss in the middle of everyone's destruction. That scene came from this book because
in a way,
Superman and Wonder Woman fuck, and then they crash land into the Earth, and then she immediately gets pregnant, and then says that I'm pregnant.
I think there is a lack of understanding of physiology, but hey, Amazonians maybe. I don't know. That's some super sperm.
It was. And then like his mourning of Lois, but he's banging Wonder. I was very confused.
Yeah, and then his daughter is named after Lana Lang, and
who's Lana Lang is alive in the book.
Yeah, it's strange. There's one line in the book that I found this really is a peek into the mindset of. Oh, I opened to it right away.
That's terrifying.
That is to the mindset of the way women are perceiving this. So as Wonder Woman is beating the shit out of Superman, trying to snap some sense into him, and right as they kiss and they're about to skyfuck, Wonder Woman says, "Where is the hero who threw me to the ground and took me as his rightful prize?" And I was like, "Oh boy." There is a strange ownership of women in this.
And that is thematically throughout his work.
Yes, 100%.
You get Elektra. You get every female in Sin City.
They're
aimed to kill for it. That's the whole plot.
It's true. It's true, which is problematic as fuck.
Yeah,
but also it is interesting to track throughout a history of work.
And it's so strange. So I posted a picture of the Wonder Woman design, which I love.
It's a great design. Yeah,
I love that design.
I think the facial structure is something that we don't get. I feel like Wonder Woman's drawn like a white woman too much.
Yeah.
Which is it's nice to see something different here.
So I posted a picture of that on my Instagram, and someone messaged me and was like, "That looks like an 11-year-old drew it," and I was like, you
uncultured swine.
So they're an artist, and I said, you have no eye for art, and they were very offended.
You went for the hardest.
I went for the
reply.
You should cut off your hands and then hang yourself. That was fucked up. That's it. Yeah. But his work is so. No matter what era you get to of Frank Miller, it's always Frank Miller. It's very visceral and in your face.
And it's a choice in this book.
Yeah.
Because that panel of Superman looking at Lois's the locket of Lois, that is like Darwin Cook style, like old school art. And he chooses to draw the way. So he can do that. I'm not so sure anymore, unfortunately.
Well, the last book we saw from him was Xerxes, and that book was not good.
Well, maybe that's his character we don't need to revisit too.
Yeah.
So, no, it's again, I don't know my thoughts. I could not give this a number rating.
I wouldn't, because I think out of any Batman book and any Frank Miller book, this is truly no matter how you come out of the reading, it is a personal experience, and you will have your own perspective of it from it. Like it is, and that's I think the positive thing about it is no matter who reads this, how many times you read this, you're always going to get a new outcome, a new feeling.
Yeah, I think if you're a Batman fan and you want to read this because you're a Batman fan, don't. You're going to get nothing from it. It's not a Batman book, in my opinion. If you are a fan of Frank Miller, definitely read it.
If you were a New Yorker,
sure, yeah,
I'd say read this.
Or if you just want something that feels personal, even though yes, this is a Batman book, read this. It's interesting. Or even if the art is not to everyone's taste, apparently, but it is something to look at.
I think
that's the art of this book was something to look at.
I think it'd be a fascinating read. side by side with Paul Dini and Eduardo Risso's The Dark Knight.
I love that book.
It is, I think, biographical Batman books are fascinating because, in a way, this is sort of a biographical Batman.
In a way, yes, I agree. Yep. Just like Grant Morrison's biographical Batman story, Batman Returns, or one throughout time. What was it called?
Batman in Time, was it?
I don't remember what it was.
But
I feel like that's an autobook.
I don't think we're ever going to get something like this ever again. I think there's a reason why
I disagree.
Brian Azzarello and Adam Kubert and Klaus Janson did Dark Knight 3.
I 100% disagree, and here's why. I think Black Label is showing that there's a market for it right now.
Really?
And I think if anyone does it, it's DC currently. I think the stuff with what Sajik is doing in Harleen is very different, and they're showing they're not afraid to do something weird, and especially with this supposed 5G coming up, which may be delayed now. They need to have their characters in other books.
Yeah. And the YA and young kids line, fantastic.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a place for that in there too. I just want to see
his next book with Ben Caldwell, the Carrie Kelly book, is going to be in the DC ink line.
Frank Miller is doing a DC ink book?
Mm-hmm. He's writing it, not drawing.
I know. I mean, but like Ben Caldwell is I love Ben Caldwell, but he's very salacious. Artist. Read that Banana Split Suicide Squad issue. That's some fun shit.
It's good.
Yeah. But no, I think this was a good choice, Matthew.
I'm happy you liked it. I was worried because
I liked the experience. I will not say I liked this book.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
But I will always keep this on my bookshelf, if that makes sense.
100%.
Okay.
That's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, because I would not have read this. I've only heard bad things about this, and I haven't, not to toot my own horn, but I haven't heard nuanced things about this, to be honest.
I think the thing about this book is you only hear interesting takes about it if you go out looking for it.
Fair.
And I when I started really wanting to pursue a career in comics, that was one of the things I wanted to do, was get more educated takes on comics that I didn't particularly like. And that's what I sought out. I think a good companion to this would be Grant Morrison's Fat Man on Batman interview.
I still haven't listened to that.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, I know. You know why I haven't listened to it?
It's because you hate Kevin Smith.
I don't like that guy.
But I think he's a fantastic interviewer.
Put on some pants. Take the damn jacket off with your fucking hockey jersey. You lost weight, buddy. Get a new wardrobe.
Well, no, he does now. He just wears oversized blazers.
Yeah, stop doing that.
Replacement to the jerseys.
It's still stupid.
I agree.
You look like a kid, 3 kids trying to sneak into a movie. Oh, boy. Although I'll be on the show if you want us.
What's it called?
Clout Jason.
So, here's my question.
Sure.
So we read this now.
What other Batman story are we going to read?
No, are we going to table Miller for now? Because we did a lot of Miller in the last year.
This has been the year of Miller.
Yeah.
We've done... what have we done? We've done Sin City.
We did Dark Knight, Batman Year One.
Did we do Born Again?
I don't think we did.
No, I think I just read that on the side.
But I think we did another Frank Miller one as well.
No, I Fanboy and Comics Pals did Born Again this year. So that's where I'm thinking of the podcast thing.
But no, I don't know. I think there's a lot of Miller I'd love to check it. Like, I'd love to get you to read.
Is All-Star Batman finished? Did it ever finish?
It's up to 10. Is
there a collection of it?
There's only a collection of 1 to 9, but I have issue 10 and I could send it to you.
What is this?
I have it digitally.
Oh, so so I can get the whole 10 digitally.
Yeah, but
is there a full story?
No, it stops abruptly.
Oh my god, why would I read that?
But the thing is, I think the Absolute Edition has 1 through 10. But I already had the trade. Why would I buy the Absolute?
And also, why would I want an Absolute Edition that is not the absolute finish of the book?
Exactly.
It's not an Absolute Edition. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know what Miller we could do.
I think All Star is my favorite of this decade of last
All Star Batman.
All Star Batman. All Star Batman was the first comic I ever bought as a single, and I got it signed by Jim Lee. And
that's when you were waiting on those long lines of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna do a Jim Lee Batman book, we're doing Hush.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, that's the.
Wait,
book.
did we do Hush right? No, we did.
No, but I read Hush recently for the first time, so even I gotta say that book's fucking gorgeous. Maybe we should just table Batman books for a bit.
Yeah. Well, it's you got next pick.
I do have next pick, and I have not thought about that. I'm hoping my with my trip coming up. It's gonna wind up being like a Star Wars book or some shit.
Fuck.
We're gonna be reading Joshua Williams's Haunted Mansion.
I have to give you. I have the trade paperback. No, the hardcovers of the original trilogy of Star Wars, and I'm never gonna read them. Do you want them?
What original trilogy?
The original Marvel adaptations.
You have the first issues?
No, the trades.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I might read those.
Yeah, I have no interest, and I'm
I want
probably
to know
gonna get
about
rid
Bunny
of them.
O'Hare.
Ooh,
He's
the
in there, right?
best bunny. Actually, no, a Playboy Bunny's best bunny. I'm so lonely.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. You can follow us at Longbox Podcast on Twitter and Instagram.
You can find us at longboxpodcast.com.
I just stole your thunder there for a bit. Yeah.
No, because I was like, we usually do ours, and then
I know.
yeah,
I was throwing you off on purpose. You can follow me at the Tyler Olson on Instagram and Twitter, and maybe see all the shenanigans I'm getting into on my vacation.
Follow me at Matthew Pale Murphy on Instagram and Twitter. You can find all of my media intake Excel spreadsheets from 2019.
If you like data sheets, Matt's the follow for you.
There were people who were like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry for you," and then there were people who thanked me and were like, "I want to do that." So
There's two types of people out there, I guess.
yeah. You told me to get help, and I think I might need it.
As somebody who just started going to therapy again, I recommend it for anyone.
Yeah, it's my time.
Your time is up. My time is now. That's it.
Yeah,
We'll see you next week for a movie.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.